Well, uh, full transparency, nobody ever said he had demands. Nobody said there was a ransom note. It was a wish list. That's how it was reported, and several names were on it, and several of those guys are on the radar screen of the Jets. One of them, Robert Tunyon, actually signed with the Bears yesterday. Hopefully it wasn't a ransom note from Rodgers, or he will now turn and pivot away from the New York Jets. But, Peter, your reaction, anything that comes to mind that you were feeling, you were thinking as we were hearing Aaron Rodgers' words and as we began to process what it all meant?
I was not surprised that he said, I want to play for the Jets. My intention is to play for the Jets. I was not surprised that he said that the Packers are dragging their heels on this and let's just get it done, because obviously he wants to get it done. Mike, you wrote about this. I'm going to take just a very quick detour, but I want to go back to that. You wrote about this. I said it, I don't know, as soon, right after this was done on Wednesday. I said the only trade that makes sense in my mind is you trade a 2 this year. The Jets trade a 2 this year for Aaron Rodgers, and they trade a conditional pick in 2025, not 2024, but in 2025. Because the whole key here is, if Aaron Rodgers only plays 1 year, then I think he's worth a 2 and a 4, let's just say. But that 4 I would make in 2025 and conditioned on him playing in calendar year 2024 for the New York Jets. And if he does play at all for the Jets, then that pick becomes a 1. Okay? So the trade then would be a 2 in 2023 and a 1 or a 4, let's say, in 2025. And I only say all that because if Aaron Rodgers is only going to play 1 year, it's not worth all that much. It's worth something, obviously. But if he only plays 1 year, it absolutely is not worth having a first-round pick in the return. Now, getting back to it, the only thing he said that really surprised me, didn't surprise me about the media sniping. For some reason, he just has a bug up his rear end about ESPN, about Adam Schefter, now I guess about Diana Rossini. Shoot, Schefter 2 months ago said there's a good chance Aaron Rodgers is going to be traded. He reached out to him at some point in that period of time to talk to him about it, and Rodgers said, lose my number, bro, which he has every right to do. But it's like he's critical of Adam Schefter for doing his job. And the only other thing that really did surprise me is he said he went in, as you just played in the soundbite, I'm 90% sure I'm going to retire when I went into the darkness. I would like to delve into that a little bit. I thought the great matzo ball hanging out there after his press conference was, what exactly happened in those 4 days? What went through your mind? What made you change and all that? And so, look, I think Aaron Rodgers is right. I know how I would feel if I felt like I didn't contribute to the start of all these rumors. And I don't know whether he did or didn't, but he obviously is giving the impression that he didn't start this rumor about how I might be traded. And he was suggesting heavily that it was the Packers who did that. And look, I don't know what happened in that whole thing. But the fact that he said that he was 90% retired, honestly, Mike, that would scare me if I were the New York Jets. If you're that close to hanging it up, and if this year isn't some fabulous success story, you know, if you have hardship and the Jets go 10-7 and they get swept by the Patriots again, or whatever happens, you don't make the playoffs. How do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to feel waking up next January 10 about playing a second year with the Jets? I don't know. But I'm just saying that I think hearing 90% retired, if I were the Jets, that would give me some pause.
Well, it creates the impression, if we accept his narrative in whole. And I think with Aaron Rodgers, you get some truth and some embellishment. I believe that he embellished in order to create the notion that the Packers had lied to him in some way about what they wanted. Because initially with McAfee, what Rodgers said was, end of the season, they told me, we got a spot for you. We want you back. Come back if you want to come back. And with that as the background, he was 90% leaning toward retiring. So he says, then he finds out that they're shopping him, and that pisses him off and makes him want to play for a team other than the Packers. Now, later in the interview, he acknowledges that, oh, wait, I was getting the feeling during the season maybe they didn't want me. So that conflicts with the idea that they still had the red carpet out and the light on for Aaron Rodgers. So I think he's trying to do the Michael Jordan thing where he creates that mindset, that incentive, that motivation to go out and have a big season, to maybe draw desire. Maybe he doesn't really want to play. Maybe he'd rather retire. I mean, you're walking away from $60 million if you do, and all you have to do is the same thing you've done every year since 2005. But I think this idea that if he was thinking, I'm done, if that's true when he says 90%, getting himself fueled by this animosity toward the Packers will carry him through a year. But I agree with you. I think it's just 1 year. We played on Monday a clip of Aaron Rodgers with Brandon Marshall when Rodgers said a decision is coming soon. Now, at the time, he had already come to his decision. He said on Friday he came to the conclusion he intends to play for the Jets. But he said during that interview, if you watch the whole thing, it's only about 5 minutes. At one point, he asks the question of whether you can be an all-time great if you only play 1 year. And it came up with Marshall saying he's an all-time great Jet, and he only played there a couple of years. And Rodgers said, well, if you only play 1 year, can you be an all-time great? And it made me think, aha, sometimes the truth just kind of inadvertently pops out of a guy's mouth when he least expects it. And I think it's 1 year. I really do. And you're right. They need to protect themselves against giving up too much for a 1 year rental with Aaron Rodgers. And you have to ask yourself, too, why do you want a 1 year rental with Aaron Rodgers unless you just recognize it's going to fill the stadium? All of our games are going to be the subject of a tug of war among all the networks. We're going to have massive ratings. We're going to make a lot of money. We're going to be relevant for a year. And maybe along the way, something happens and Zach Wilson becomes Aaron Rodgers.
Look, you talk about, there's so much in what you just said that clicked for me. One of which is the Jets are going to be a different team right now. When Aaron Rodgers lines up, I believe, on Sunday night of opening weekend against either the Dallas Cowboys or Philadelphia Eagles on NBC Sunday Night Football, when he lines up and plays for that team, just imagine how different it is. Okay, they sort of climbed the ladder a little bit when they had Rex Ryan and when Mark Sanchez had his moment of greatness or very goodness, let's just say. And so they had a few moments back a decade ago. Okay, but Mike, it's been a long time. Probably, they had some moments when Bill Parcells coached there as well. But it's been a long time since network TV went and looked at the Jets' schedule and said, we are going to max out primetime appearances for this team this year. They will get fought for this year. And I believe, as I just said, they will play on Sunday night in week 1, a marquee game that'll get ridiculous ratings, including ridiculous ratings in the state of Wisconsin. Just look at this schedule. In my opinion, they are going to play the opening Sunday night game, there you see, at Dallas or in the Meadowlands with a nutty crowd against the defending NFC champs, the Philadelphia Eagles. And that will be the most interesting game of week 1, and it's not even close. I don't care if they play Kansas City against Joe Burrow or Josh Allen that first weekend, which I don't think they will on Thursday night. I think they'll use another game and save those mega games for prime time later in the season. But I just think everything about the Jets in 2023 is going to be different than it was in 2022. Not a lot of 1 o'clock Sunday games for the New York Jets going forward.
Well, and I the Jets haven't been on NBC. You mentioned Sanchez and Ryan. The last time the Jets were on NBC was Thanksgiving 2012, the butt fumble game. That's how long it's been. That's a decade of the Jets not being attractive enough to make their way on.
We were in the stadium that night. I remember it.
If I'm the NFL, I'm seriously considering Jets at Cowboys for Thanksgiving in that mid-afternoon window, because that has been the marquee regular season game of the year over the past few years, right? And now the other side of it too, Peter, the walls are torn down with the old AFC NFC package. It's open season for CBS and Fox for the Sunday games. They can lobby.
Right,
they
that's
can.
True.
So
that's true.
But there's some interesting dynamics that come to play, unrelated to whether or not the Jets can get back to a Super Bowl or even be a real contender. Go ahead.
Mike, how about this? How about Jets somebody on Black Friday? On that, what I think will also be a ratings monster. Because obviously we all know now that the Black Friday game, even though it is very, very different and, it's not going to be what everybody is used to seeing, and it's not going to be in a place where people are used to seeing football games, most notably. Who knows? Maybe they really try to boost that Black Friday show and, by putting Aaron Rodgers on it. I mean, who knows?
Hey, they are going to be the 2023 version of the Broncos from a year ago, where they are just everywhere. And hopefully
even higher
it
profile.
Fares better. Hopefully it fares better for the NFL than the Broncos did last year, because it did not go well for the NFL to have the Broncos in so many significant spots. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.